free-for-all has broken out in poll-bound Karnataka over the Congress party's promise of free power up to 200 units if voted in. The state goes to polls later this year and it's a head-on fight between the Congress and the BJP. Chief Minister of Karnataka, Basavaraj Bommai, has accused the Congress's promise as a gateway to dirty politics, while the Congress's DK Shivakumar has hit back, saying he knows how to safeguard the interests of the state economy. But what's interesting is how Congress seems to be borrowing from the AAP playbook once again on free electricity. It's a part of 5 major promises they will make before the polls, but this particular one has reignited the freebie debate. Listen in to the fight today.
₹1,500 per every month it will happen to every house. I, being a power minister, I know how to find out the resources for this help. I have made this state an excess power state. I know how to generate, how to safeguard the interest of the state, how to safeguard the interest of the economy of the state. I am confident that is how I decided. First program which we have announced is first lighting the lamp. This is the lighting the lamp with 200 units free power to every house.
It is irresponsible, irrational decisions. They are desperate. That's why they are announcing. Many more such announcements are expected from Congress. That shows how lowest level are there in the electoral race.
They're coming back with freebies. They're more
That is what I'm telling. You expect more because of the desperation.
Now, when we look at the Karnataka elections and the upcoming elections in May, a quick recap of the tumultuous politics in the state is important since the last polls. In 2018, the BJP was the single largest party with 104 seats, and B.S. Yediyurappa formed the government despite JDS and Congress forming a post-poll alliance. He failed the trust vote and had to resign in a few days. H.D. Kumaraswamy then became CM of the ruling coalition but lost his chair after just 14 months because several MLAs defected. The BJP was back in power and current Chief Minister Bommai replaced Yediyurappa in 2021. Needless to say, it's a tight contest in the state and neither side will leave anything to chance. The key question, though, is that despite getting the tag of a bad freebie, why does free power continue to be rolled out as a promise in state after state and by party after party? Does it really work as a lure for voters? To speak on this, I'm joined today by Vivek Reddy, spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP, Aiyshwarya Mahadev from the Congress party. With us today, Sandeep Anirudhan, founder of Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru, is joining us, as is Harry Dhol, DG of Independent Power Producers Association. Welcome to all of you and thank you so much for speaking with us. Aiyshwarya, let me begin with you. Aiyshwarya Mahadev. The accusation is that this is the doorway to dirty politics. How would you respond to that?
Good evening. I think dirty politics in my state is the sort of communalism and the statements that move away from development, where members of parliament and the president of the state BJP unit talks about how roads and infrastructure and jobs are not the priority, but LoveJihad and communalism is. I think that is dirty politics. I think dirty politics is the fact that you prioritize corruption and filling your own coffers over people as more and more people die due to bad infrastructure and because of your policies. This is not dirty politics. This is trying to ease the sort of pain of the people. And I believe that the Congress party has lit the lamp on development to usher in things. You can have a debate about it being a freebie, but looking at the price of common commodities, looking at the price rise in our state and our country today, do you really believe trying to subsidize electricity is even a freebie anymore as opposed to a necessity? I don't think so. And I think Mr. DK Shivakumar...
No, but I know there is an argument about whether free electricity is a good idea or not. And today the question is whether the Congress is borrowing from the Aam Aadmi Party's playbook.
You know, Tamanna, the Aam Aadmi Party goes on and on about this idea almost as if they were the people that invented schools and hospitals and gave you socialist schemes. I think it's an insult to every government that has existed before. Because they packaged something and marketed it well does not mean they're the originator or the people that are responsible for the inception of this policy. The fact that we've had welfare hospitals, PHCs, IITs, IIMs are not because of the Aam Aadmi Party, and the Aam Aadmi Party is not somebody that created the wheel, neither have they reinvented it. So either way, if it's a beneficial scheme for people, they should be appreciative of it rather than calling in, running in and say, oh no, this is my idea. That is ridiculous. It's almost childish. If a policy is something that is helping people, you are appreciative of it. You should be statesmanly and appreciative of it instead of saying, oh, you're a copycat, or at least being immature about it. And this is not the first time different states have considered subsidizing power. And I think that is the fact of the matter.
Let me see it.
And,
We're waiting for Vivek Reddy of the BJP to get connected and respond to some of the points that Aiyshwarya is talking about. Vivek Reddy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right.
Yes,
I don't know if you heard Aiyshwarya Mahadev's response from the Congress party, but she's saying that dirty politics is communalizing the state, and they have lit the lamp of their election campaign and development in the state. Why such a sharp reaction to free power? It's now par for the course in every election. Why such a sharp reaction from your end, Mr. Reddy?
Well, I think this is gimmick politics. This is not real politics. This is sort of a fake politics. And the Congress and its leaders are known for it. Why I say it is fake is, Karnataka is different from Delhi. Delhi is a city with about 2 crore population, but Karnataka has a 6 crore population. If you're going to commit the finances of the state to a 200 units of electricity, or free electricity per household, well, you must first think of whether it is economically rational. It is totally absurd and foolish. It's such a stupid decision of Mr. D.K. Shivakumar to announce this without understanding the sort of income the state has, the sort of expenditure the state has, whether it is possible within that, whether it is economically viable. How can he make such an indiscriminate and irresponsible statement? This is how, this is the desperation for power. Because they don't have
Mr.
any
Reddy,
other
didn't
playbook to
the
play.
BJP make this
And the Congress is
irresponsible,
on the downswing.
indiscriminate promise?
They
One
try
minute.
to prop
Didn't the
themselves
BJP
up.
make this indiscriminate promise in the states of Himachal recently? Free power
Well,
was
Himachal is a
promised
different state.
to farmers in Uttar
a very
Pradesh
small
as well.
population. It is a small population. Yes, it is a place where there is a small population. But such is not the state of Karnataka. You have to first see
Aiyshwarya Mahadev,
whether
look at
what
the
sort of a
economics
burden
of
it would
Karnataka.
have on the exchequer.
Why the
All
burden
power
on the
companies. This
exchequer?
is, moreover,
All right.
power companies are running under losses.
No. The losses are generational issues. Harry Doll will come and tell you that in a bit. But 1 minute. Yes, Aiyshwarya Mahadev, your response.
It is hilarious that Vivek Subbareddy is actually saying this when his own party, as a promised 10 free hours of electricity per farmer in our state in their manifesto. Obviously, they didn't fulfill it because, God forbid, they actually do what they say. So the fact is, and which cumulatively is more than what we're offering. And I think, it is not ludicrous. It is not something that is not fiscally prudent, because if there's one man in this country that is best equipped to tell you what he can and cannot offer when it comes to electricity and power generation, it's Mr. D.K. Shivakumar. Tamanna, he inherited almost a bankrupt ministry because Shobha Karanlaje did not know how to run it. There were basic massive losses. There was transmission loss. There was nowhere else. It was one of the saddest discoms anywhere in the country. And Mr. D.K. Shivakumar came in, cut down transmission losses. We looked at captive power. We looked at different options. And today, Karnataka, or rather, during his term, was power surplus. If there's one man in this country that knows how to turn things around, it is Mr. D.K. Shivakumar.
Aiyshwarya Mahadev, with all due respect, D.K. Shivakumar may have worked wonders and miracles in the past. Doesn't make giving free electricity a good economic idea.
1 second. About talking about economic ideas, and also if you want to get into a larger idea about the microeconomic...
What is the burden for the state? Have you calculated it? Aiyshwarya Mahadev, do you know the burden on the exchequer?
1
if
second,
you have to give 5 crore households free electricity. What is the burden on exchequer? Do you know
You
that?
wanted to send, sir, you wanted to send 6 crore people on yatras also previously in your government. And your manifesto, if you want to talk about farm loan waivers, you want to talk about how much you were offering interest-free loans. How many people, if you look at how fiscally
This is
imprudent you are,
escapist
that you
argument.
put us in,
This is
Okay,
you
one
put us-
minute.
escapist.
I want to
One
get the
second, let me
citizens'
complete.
point of view.
You-
1 minute.
I
Sandeep
didn't interrupt
You
Anirudhan.
have made a
Tamanna, can I
decision.
complete? Can I please complete?
All right. Let Aiyshwarya Mahadev complete her point, and then I want to get the citizens' point of view, and everyone will listen. Yes.
The fact of the matter remains that this is fiscally prudent to the extent that after 200 units, it's a pro rata basis. And there's so much so that you obviously change the costing metric to ensure that you do not spend excessive amounts of money. That is far more prudent than allowing every farmer to have 10 hours of free power under your scheme that you basically offered them, which is something that would have cost the state far more as compared to what we're doing here. And with the rising prices everywhere, if we can offset some of the cost of electricity and basic necessities, we also increase consumption and spending. And that obviously helps an economy. If you want me to get into your 11th standard economics of how things, demand and supply, allow you to offset inflations, I'll do it, right? But obviously, this is a citizen
Well,
view
you
that
don't know what is the total cost. You don't know the impact on the exchequer. You don't know the burden on the exchequer.
There are many things which
And you're
have impact
rattling
on the
certain
exchequer.
points.
Why only this
What
is a
is the
problem?
burden
One
on
sec,
the
Sandeep
exchequer?
Anirudhan.
Basically,
Let's
I want
listen
to
to
say-
citizens.
Yatras.
You know,
What was the
Mr.
burden on
Reddy,
the
Ms. Mahadev,
exchequer
can
of
we
your
also listen to
40%
citizens, or you only
corruption?
want to talk to each other? Let's also listen to citizens. We have Sandeep Anirudhan with us. He's founder of Citizens Agenda for Bengaluru, a city which is right now reeling with so many infrastructure messes. We're talking about the murder when a metro pillar fell and killed a woman and her 2-year-old. You know, in the middle of this, how important or relevant is a promise of free electricity of 200 units? Will it go down well? What's your view, Sandeep?
Thank you, Tamanna. See, Tamanna, I frankly am not too worried about which party makes what promise. As a citizen, our worry is how many of those promises will be honored. I was since the election hysteria starting, I just went and had a look at the manifestos of every party that were made almost 5 years ago. Most of those are not fulfilled. In fact, the parties seem to have forgotten what promises they made in the first place. So, in fact, the collapse of Bengaluru right now, it's a shame that the Supreme Court refers to Bengaluru as a city model that should not be followed anywhere. It's cautioning other cities don't become Bengaluru. It can't be worse than that. And if you look at the manifestos of every party made 5 years ago, the claims were they will implement the 74th Amendment, they will build decentralized, merged city government, there'll be autonomy, there'll be planning and all that. None of those things have happened. So basically what I'm looking at it is unfulfilled promises. Coming to actually fulfilling a promise like, okay, free power or free water, it's part of our constitutional mandate to be a social democracy. It should not be a problem as long as the government figures out how to do it. If you look at our national government and state governments, the level of debt is just shooting through the roof. Now, if that debt is being used to benefit citizens, we have no problem. But by and large, you see, it's corporate interests that are actually benefiting. Most of the expenditure of the government, and in fact, all the announcements that are being made by all governments, typically are about expenditure for large projects, large kind of all kinds of white elephant schemes, which really don't benefit the citizens in any way. What we really want is accountability, we want transparency, and we want some sort of subsidiarity and citizens being in control. Why cannot these parties, after they get elected, make public consultations for every legislation that happens, have public consultations for every scheme that happens, have public consultations for all the programs? We will be able to talk to you. But after getting elected, none of these parties want to talk to citizens. This is what we don't want.
Sandeep, they don't want to talk to you after the election. What's the point?
Exactly.
What's the
There's
point
no
after
public
the
consultation
election?
for anything.
You know, just while we're talking about free power and freebie and do citizens want it or not, just a little nugget I wanted to share in Delhi, which I would say is the originator of the free power for elections sort of model from the Aam Aadmi Party. Recently, they have a scheme where you have to opt in if you want subsidized electricity bill. So you don't get it as a blanket. Out of about 57 lakh people or households which were using that power subsidy, you know how many have asked for it back? 40 lakhs. 40 out of 57. People want the free power. Harry Hall, I know you will say it's terrible for the economy, terrible for power companies, but people want the free power, whether they're rich or poor. Citizens are thinking, I don't get much for the taxes I give. If I'm getting something from the government, why not? The fact is it works electorally.
Yeah, maybe. I'm not a politician, so I don't know. And my role and my reaction is a very simple one. Whichever government is in power is free to do whatever it wants for its citizens, including giving it some free power, is my opening statement. But let me also say at the same time, the problem does not lie in the power sector by giving 200 kilowatt hours to people. The problem is much larger and much older. And I will take half a minute to explain to you. Not just Karnataka, but across the board, most electricity boards today in the country are facing a financial crunch. And this problem has been there for quite some time. In fact, when Independent Power Producers Association was created, there was a lot of opposition that we are pushing private power and private this and private that. And our only simple argument was, listen, why the hell should private sector come in if you guys are running an efficient system? And the answer to that is not there. So the fact of the matter remains, this is a very old problem. And subsidies have been given in all kinds of forms and ways and methodologies across the board throughout all states. Coming to Karnataka, Karnataka has a very good thing going for it today, which perhaps is not being capitalized on. You have got some phenomenal amount of renewable energy, which has been built into the system over the last few years. You also have a phenomenal amount of hydropower. Very few states in India have this quantum of renewable energy. And therefore,
so they can afford. They can afford the free power promise.
I'm explaining that to you. So when renewable energy comes in, there is no variable cost. There's no coal to burn. There's no petrol to burn, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Therefore, if you manage it properly, you are generating in Karnataka surplus cash by selling that surplus power on the exchange. We've been watching this over the last 2 years. So it cannot be said that Karnataka doesn't have the ability to turn this thing around. I don't know the ratios, as Mr. Reddy rightly said. We need to figure out the level of exposure and losses, etc. But prima facie, Karnataka is in a very fortunate position that today it can and is selling surplus renewable energy, perhaps the largest in the country, to the grid, and therefore earning hard cash,
excellent.
Which can be put to good use if it wants to.
That's excellent insight, Harry Doll. You know, this is what happens when you get the experts and then you get the facts. Vivek Reddy, I'm going to come back to you. This is from someone who knows the sector in and out. He's saying Karnataka has the potential to give this free power up to 200 units because this state, unlike others, actually makes money on its renewable energy. You sell it back to the grid and you make money. You can share
which
that
is in
with
great
some of the
demand
citizens
right now,
up to
Tamanna.
200.
It's in great demand, the whole world.
Which you can share that with citizens. Yes, Vivek Reddy. That gives credence to DK Shivakumar's claim.
Yes, I think yes, it may be a valuable insight. It may be true. I don't want to dispute that. But the point is there an assessment of the burden? Because you're giving it across a 6 crore population. Is there an assessment of the burden? Or is it a blind shot to gain votes? This is all where I am. If it is an assessment of the burden, because as a citizen, even I'm asking, is it a responsible decision that you're making? It's a fiscal decision. Ultimately, the DISCOMs will generate the electricity. BESCOMs and DISCOMs will generate the electricity and supply it to the people. Who is going to pay for the first 200 units? The government has to pay. And if the government is stressed out with funds, and if it is not able to pay, then the DISCOMs will again become bankrupt because they cannot withstand this financial burden.
First points first,
which is
all
too
state
huge
governments should
while
pay
supplying
all the
electricity
DISCOMs.
to such large numbers.
Yeah, first points first, you're absolutely right. All governments should pay all DISCOMs. There is a lot of backlog. There is a lot of backlog from several decades. Anyway,
and have the governments,
your response.
From our experience.
Your response
one more point.
Yes.
I just want to add quickly to what...
Have the governments ever paid?
No, but then all governments are guilty of that across parties. Nobody is paying. State governments are just pushing back those payments. Yes, Harry Doll, very quickly. I'm running out of time.
Very quickly, Karnataka today is the most fortunate state in the country. It has got around 4,000 megawatts of hydro, 5,000
Yes.
megawatts of renewable energy,
Yes, you
which
mentioned,
costs
sir.
zero in terms of fuel cost. So all you have to do is service the debt, which is very cheap compared to running
Okay.
a thermal power plant.
Aiyshwarya Mahadev,
So I think better
coming back to
management
the
could do it.
point, there are going to be many more promises. There are going to be 5 promises in all. Now, the Congress has burnt its hands in Karnataka before. You've come close to power and then lost it again. Operation Kamla, works every time. Are you prepared for the fight this time round?
Tamanna, when you say that, at some point it almost sounds like you're legitimizing a completely illegal activity of horse trading, buying over MLAs, trying to get somebody to override the legality, and also the idea that the 10th schedule doesn't apply in this case because the BJP does not have a legitimate government. They did not have mandate, and they obviously stole it. They had to replace the chief minister. They have another chief minister. You have 2 former chief ministers who have not been invited to today, the event of the prime minister. And the fact of the matter remains, when Mr. Dole talks about how we're doing very well with renewables, Power Gada is one of the reasons. The creation of Mr. D.K. Shivakumar, which is one of the largest solar power plants anywhere in the country and anywhere in Southeast Asia, which obviously enhanced our capability. And I think for Vivek Reddy to obviously throw away something and call it dirty politics when his party panders to these base emotions and emotive issues over issues of development, it is absolutely ridiculous. And Vivek, don't write something off before the modalities come out. I understand a majority of your party may never understand the complexity of things like this, but at least give us a chance to explain to at least the people of Karnataka that want change, as opposed to the party that you have, which is obviously change in your pocket.
All
and
right,
nothing.
Is it a Rahul Gandhi model? Is it a Rahul Gandhi model by any
At
chance,
least
Aiyshwarya
there's
Mahadev?
hope in it, and at least
I think it's a
hope
Rahul
today
Gandhi
and
model
not
by
hate.
some chance.
What do you
Rahul
mean
Gandhi
by
model
that,
is
Vivek
hope
Reddy?
and not
I
hate
think, I think
like your party.
if it is a Rahul Gandhi model, we have to be all the more careful.
No, but what do you mean
should
by
be
the Rahul
careful
Gandhi
because
model more specifically?
If it is a Rahul Gandhi model, I think the future of Karnataka is in
No, but kya
very
hai wo
dangerous
model
hands.
which you're referring to? What is the model you're referring to?
He just wanted to make a funny comment or what he thought was funny.
Well, where does she get this model from?
I'm
Where
sorry.
do you get
I want to go to
this
Sandeep
model from?
Anirudhan. Sandeep Anirudhan put his hand up. I want to hear his voice. Yes, Sandeep Anirudhan. Let's hear from Sandeep. He's saying no one comes back to the citizens after the elections. Now it's before the elections. Let's listen to him now. Yes, Sandeep, now's your time.
Yeah. Tamanna, I think since this power thing at least was popularized by the Aam Aadmi Party, should also had them here to explain what they did in Delhi. At least what I'm trying to, what I've heard is that Delhi, it was possible because they made it more efficient, they cut power theft and they streamlined a lot of things. Now, as citizens, see, in Karnataka, we are facing extreme corruption. It has nothing to do with any particular party. I mean, neither BJP nor Congress. This has been, it's an inheritance as far as back as we can remember.
Sandeep, corruption cannot come from the sky.
Corrupt.
No, you're being politically correct, but corruption can't fall from the sky. It's like everyone got COVID, everyone got corruption.
I've been in Bangalore all my life. When Congress was in power, extreme corruption.
Okay. It's
BJP
always
came
been
to power,
corrupt.
we thought things will change, but they actually bought out the same corrupt politicians and brought they actually brought the corruption with them. So unfortunate thing is, the culture of politics in Karnataka is that of corruption. We need to change that. We need accountability, we need transparency, and we don't want corruption. I think the performance of all indicators in the state will just go up by miles, If that much can be
that's the cleanup. That's the cleanup and the power that needs to go into, promises in the upcoming polls. We'll wrap it here, but I want to thank all of you for joining us. We're taking a very short break, but, like we've been promising you on screen, we have a blockbuster episode for you today.